So welcome everybody to the March 2024 monthly meeting, EVCO monthly meeting. So we have quite a bit of stuff to cover today, so we'll try to go fairly fast through it. There we go. Okay, so this is the agenda. We'll talk about past and future events. So now we're putting it at the start instead of the meeting as we used to do before. You'll see that they'll go through all the events we have planned. There's quite a few of them, okay? And I've updated the spreadsheet that we have for volunteers. So I'll send an email tomorrow indicating where it is and all that, so that you could volunteer for events. Okay. Mike is going to talk. He's going to go over his beginner's guide to fighting climate change. What Mike has done is he's working on a series of presentations that you want to deliver on a regular basis. This one is more general. It's not just EV specific, but it's about other stuff. I'm going to go through the year. I'll do a year in review. I'll go through all the activities we did last year. And again, you'll see there's a hell of a lot of activities. Unfortunately, I don't have pictures from every one of them. So I took pictures that I had. That's one thing I need to do this year is make sure I take pictures at every event. But anyways, then Greg will talk about self-driving. And then we'll get to the news and hopefully we get to the roundtable. So events, we didn't have that many events in the last month. It was really mostly Kilowatt and Coffee. So you see the locations there. Come on. Okay, so upcoming events. So next meeting here again, April 29th. I won't be here, so I guess Mike, you'll probably run the show next month. Yeah. Come on. There we go. So, Kilowatts and Coffee, we have only two coming up. One is this coming weekend, which is still in March. The 13th of April, we'll have one at Three Sisters. The reason there's only one in April is we have something else every other Saturday this month. And so you'll see that as we go through. So, the EVCO and GAPNO, you guys remember that we participated in their two previous versions. This is the third version. So we will be participating again. I contacted Jean-Pierre and asked him for free tickets and got moved into doing other stuff. So anyways, we have some space there. We're going to bring some cars. So we're still looking for some cars. Again, I'll send that in an email. What we're looking for. We're looking for a Polestar in particular, any BMW we could get, and Model X, and actually a Model S, but a newer one. Okay. So, anyways, there's a few others that we're looking for, but so it looks like there's going to be a lot more stuff this year. The only exception is BMW's not there, but everybody else is going to be there in more than last year. There we go. Next event will be in Carlton Place. So this is Earthfest. We went there last year. Last year we just had cars and we showed the cars, and I did a presentation, which I didn't realize there wouldn't be a computer and a screen or anything. I had to do it from memory, but anyways, I've talked about it enough that, as I'm sure you know, I was able to fill up the time. So nice event. It's nice to go somewhere where they don't get that much attention. We were talking about plug and drive earlier. Carlton Place, where I've never seen plug and drive. Right?
Okay.
They just don't have the capacity to do that many.
Maybe they need a few EV ambassadors in the area.
Yeah. So anyways, come on. Battery must be bad on this thing. The event after that is, this is a small event. Mike will be talking, there's a coffee house on sustainability series of things that happened at the Glebe Community Center. So Mike will be there to talk about that. If you want to join him, you're more than welcome. We don't want to have 50 people, but having other people there is certainly going to be useful. It starts at 9:30 a.m.
Yeah.
Not sure when it ends.
It's a 2-hour thing, but there's two parts to it. My talk will be 15 minutes. We want to cover a lot in 15 minutes. And then there's going to be 45 minutes of talking to EV owners. So not just me, hopefully we have some volunteers that can just sit and talk to people if they have questions. And then there's going to be a second presentation. I'm not sure which slot I'm at the 9:30 or the 10:30 one, but.
Okay. Anyway, so if some of you could go and help Mike, that would be great. And again, that's on the spreadsheet, which I'll send a link to later. The Kentville Sustainability Fair, this is the event we've been doing for I don't know how many years now, 70 or more years. So we'll be doing test drives and we'll have a booth there. Mike will be doing a presentation. I won't be there, unfortunately. We'll have cars from dealers, so there's some dealers. You may remember last year that Barhaven Ford, they almost threw the keys at us. saying
They literally threw the keys at us.
So we expect the same thing. I know the GM dealer there is very keen on selling EVs and will be bringing cars. And the Ford dealer will be bringing cars. He wants to bring a PHEV, so we'll tolerate it, but let's say we'll not want to highlight it, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, again, we're looking for lots of people there. Here we go. After that, next event is May 15th at Patagonia. This is a very small event. OREC with Patagonia is organizing this event with a number of different organizations that are related to greening things or environmental stuff. Okay, so it'll be in the store, which when I look at the picture, the thing is pretty freaking small. Anyways, so it'll be on the 15th of May at Patagonia for a couple of hours. We just need a few people there, so we don't need a large crowd. Okay,
Am I talking it now?
no, just there to answer questions. So actually, there's a meeting tomorrow to talk about more detail.
Yeah.
I don't know if you have the invite.
I do.
I'll be added. Okay, after that, the next event is a Blackbird Fun Fair. This is an event we've done twice before, twice. This will be the third time. We'll do test drives and have a booth and all that, just like we did last year. So this should generate lots of test drives like it did last year. After that, June 8th, we're going to Almont. Okay, so again, another place that's a bit outside of the core of the city. So in Almont, there'll be an event there where we will do a presentation, test drives again, and a booth. Okay, so next event, so you'll see there's some large gaps now. Okay, so we want to fill some of the gaps with some other events. But we're not there yet. So July 20th, Westport, again, a bit further from downtown. There'll be a car show there. And we'll have a section where we'll have our EVs and we'll be able to do test drives also. Okay. So there we go. One event we'd like to do, but we're still waiting on a response from the Carp Fair. We'd like to do the Carp Fair from September 26th to 29th. And again, we'll see how that turns out. And the other thing we want to be doing is, and this is tentative at this point, the SmartNet Coalition, they haven't reserved the space yet, okay, to do this. They want to do it on October 5th at Lansdowne. So there's a bit of a change of people there right now. So while that's happening, they're not moving much on stuff, but we're hoping to have this event again. Reason that I'd like to see it again, that I'd so much like to see it again, is because this drives a lot of test drives, a lot of people, right? You'll see when we go through last year that we had 3,500 people that walked through our session there last year, right? And we did lots and lots of test drives.
Okay. So I've been looking into doing some presentations for the library and stuff, so a series of beginner's guides. And one of them is about climate change that I decided to do because I came across some new information. So climate denialism has always been kind of the thing that we come up against. We always get people talking at us, saying, you know, climate change isn't real, it's not happening, it's good for plants and all that nonsense. But what's happened in the last couple of years that you might not be aware of, climate change denial has shifted from we shouldn't worry about it or we shouldn't do anything about it because it's not real to, well, it's real, but there's no point in doing anything about it, which is a bit more dangerous. And the reason it has shifted in the past few years is because climate change is obvious to anybody with eyes now, right? I mean, we barely had winter this year. The canal didn't open last year. The retros are a new type of fun storm that we now have in Ottawa that didn't exist in the northern latitudes at all. Right, so climate change is becoming to be a visible thing that people who live experience in their personal lives. So when somebody says it doesn't exist, you're like, well, wait a second, I just witnessed a tornado where tornadoes don't happen before. So obviously something's happening, right? So that we're now calling old denial. The new denial is that warming is actually a good thing and that you shouldn't worry about it and renewables don't work and climate policies are bad for the economy or some other nonsense, or that you can't trust the science, right? So you can't believe stuff that you're hearing. And so we're calling this climate doomerism, because basically it's either climate change is real and it's nothing to worry about, or it's real and there's nothing we can do about it anyway, so don't worry about it. They want you to feel like it's, you know, too big a problem to handle. And so just don't do anything at all. It's basically the messaging. Just keep burning stuff. Don't change your habits. Just keep burning things. It's fine. There's nothing we can do about it anyway. Individual actions are small, right? You're just one drop in a bucket. But what they don't realize, or what they do realize and they don't want you to figure out, is that billions of actions of individuals is what caused climate change, right? We all burned things in our lives. And so that means that billions of individual actions can solve or at least mitigate climate change. And it's a lot easier to blame other people and pass the responsibility onto others than to take responsibility for yourselves, right? And so they're kind of counting on that, but there is hope, right? So we do have the technology to avoid the worst impacts of climate change. We still have time. We're running low on time, but we still have time. We have 6 years now to make the necessary changes, which isn't a lot of time. So we really got to get cracking on this. And we need everyone everywhere to start acting with a bit of urgency about the topic, because it's here, it's happening. And the solution is conceptually simple. You just stop burning stuff. It's hard to implement, but it's simple to understand. And that's key. So what can you do about climate change as a person who exists in the world? Well, we, at EVCO, we start with the car, right? And the car is kind of a big, easy thing to do. I mean, it's like people buy cars. Cars are expensive, yes, but people have to replace cars fairly regularly, right? And so when you replace your car, whether it's a gas car or whatever, buy an electric one, right? That's a pretty easy thing to understand. You stop buying gas. That whole supply chain no longer is relevant to you. And so that actually has a pretty big impact as an individual on, what your contribution to climate change is. Now, that's not the only thing. I mean, if you don't need a car, don't buy a car. We're not we are the EVCO, so we support electric cars. But if you don't need a car, definitely don't buy a car. Don't even buy an EV if you don't need a car. Just take the bus or trains or whatever. Biking is better. But if you already own a car, switch it, right? Small engines. These are things that actually anybody can do pretty much anytime. Your lawnmower, your chainsaw, your snow blower, your leaf blower. If you're looking at buying any of these tools, or if you have a tool that's kind of old and needs to be replaced, get the electric version instead. It's already on the market. They already exist. They're not a huge source of emissions, right? You use your lawnmower once a week, maybe, or once a month if you're me. You use your snowblower once a year, apparently now.
But they pollute a lot, right?
But they pollute a lot when they're running, right? They pollute a lot more than a car does, because a lot of these small engines, they burn oil along with the gas, right? 2 strokes. And there's no emissions controls on them whatsoever. There's straight pipe exhaust, and you can see the blue smoke coming out of them, right? It's not great. So replacing those with battery electric is actually easy. It's relatively affordable, and it's way more convenient because you don't have to worry about your snowblower. You don't have to put in this fuel stabilizer, so it doesn't. There's no oil changes, right? You don't have to pull start the stupid lawnmower and it's never starting. Why is it not starting? Right? Just push a button, it starts. So it's actually pretty good. Upgrading your house, right? Most of us live in houses. Some of us own our houses, which is great. So if you own your house, there are things you can do. It'll take a while, but it's good to start now, right? There's a sense of urgency here. So you don't have to run out and replace all your windows and doors and air conditioning and furnace and everything all at once, right? But just have this in mind so that when you do need to replace your windows, when you do need to insulate your attic, that you're thinking about, okay, well, what can I do to reduce the emissions of the house? Because a lot of people don't realize their furnace is basically an idling engine in their basement. It's an actual fire in your basement, right? And it's idling all day in the winter, right? So that's a big source of emissions. So if you can replace it with a cold climate heat pump when it comes time to replace, then that will make a huge difference as well. And then vote for change, right? Vote for parties who are not buying pipelines and who are not supporting Enbridge and who are supporting clean energy projects and, reducing taxes on EVs while not increasing tax or increasing gas taxes. So Doug Ford in Ontario, he's just reducing the gas tax, but apparently the gas tax is why they need to tax EVs because you don't pay gas tax and the roads are going to fall apart. But then they don't need to have the gas tax because they can reduce it or whatever. It's stupid. So we'll start with the car. So this is your climate action checklist. And I've already covered a lot of this in that previous slide, so I might have to own this presentation a little bit more. But yeah, replace your fossil car with an EV. We have some of the highest emissions in the world, not only from oil production, but also consumption here. The tar sands out in Alberta are horrendous for consumption or for production. And when you stop burning a liter of gasoline, you're not only saving the emissions from that liter itself that you're not burning in the car, but you're also saving the emissions from the supply chain that liter represents, right? Because gasoline doesn't just exist in nature. We have to create it, right? So you have to dig up the bitumen from Alberta. You have to refine it, which takes emissions. You have to transport it, which is emissions. You have to refine it again, which is emissions. You have to move it to the gas station, which is more emissions, right? So each liter of gasoline actually has a long tail of emissions just to get to the gas pump before you even burn it, right? So when you don't burn gas, you're not just saving the gas you're not burning, you're also saving all of the emissions upstream from it too. So that's something that's good. Small engines, right? So if there's a small engine in your life, there's an electric version that's better. There's outboard motors. I just chose a little outboard motor, but that's basically a 9.9 outboard motor. Electric snowmobiles, electric snow blowers, which I want, but I mean, I used my gas snow blower once this year, so.
I've got that one, it's really nice.
Yeah, I want the Ryobi because it's.
I got it at for $450, it's normally $900.
Yes,
The end of season. They
I'm gonna look for that.
Yeah,
Yeah, because I need that. And then, lawn stuff, right? So they're relatively easy to do. I already talked about that. So your house, right? So upgrade your house. It's the second source of major emissions in your life, apart from your car. So you start with an energy audit. All right, so this is my house. So I went from 104 gigajoules or whatever, gigajoules per year to 71, which isn't as good as a new house, right? Newer houses are down at 62, but my house is from 1964, so I did what I could. Okay, that's an improvement, right? It's a big improvement. That's 30 gigajoules a year that I'm saving just by replacing my windows and insulating the attic. You can do a cold climate heat pump. That's my cold climate heat pump, right? Electric only, no gas. I actually cut the gas line to my house, which was very satisfying and confused Enbridge quite a bit. They didn't understand what we wanted. They kept asking us, like, what's the new address? I'm like, no, we just want to close the account. Like, but who's taking over the account? Nobody. We're getting rid of gas. Well, how are you going to heat your house? Heat pump. What's that? And we had to educate Enbridge. So that was fun. My wife had a great hour on the phone with a lady from Enbridge. So yeah, cold climate heat pump. This is a heat pump, washer and dryer unit all in one. So it's in our kitchen because it's way more convenient and very European of us apparently. But this, you put your dirty clothes in and you push go, and then they come out dry and clean, which is amazing. And it uses 110 outlet. So it doesn't even use a 240 outlet. It's 110 and you just need a water hookup.
How long does it take?
8 hours.
No, actually it doesn't take 8 hours. Usually it's 2 or 3. If you overload it, it's 8 hours.
Yeah, if you do a full load.
But you see, I could point to it, but on the door, there's actually a line that says fill to here. So you put your clothes to that line. And then if you go above that line, then it takes longer. But if you go to the line like it tells you to, then you're looking at 2 or 3. What we usually do is because it's energy intensive still a little bit. It's 110 outlets, so it's 15 or 1.5 kilowatts. But we run it overnight. So you put the clothes in dirty. As you go to bed, push play, it'll just run all night, who cares? Wake up in the morning, you got warm, dry clothes, you can put on fresh, warm underwear.
Yeah, Mike, I mean, the fact that it's one machine actually makes it easier to do overnight.
Yeah.
Because if you have two,
Because you don't have to switch it,
then
right?
you have to move the laundry you don't want it to sit wet all night.
Yeah, exactly, so you don't have to get out of bed to like move it over, it's all
easier to do it overnight, so it doesn't matter if it takes 8 hours.
What about a family of 4? You got kids?
I have 2 kids.
And then
Yeah, We're a family of 4, that's all. It's a normal size.
Yeah.
It's a normal size, 5 cubic feet or
Often
whatever.
we're doing at least 1 load a day, if not
Yeah,
2 or 3 on a day on weekends or something.
yeah, that's it. I mean, you can run this and it's a lot more efficient than a conventional electric dryer. We had a gas dryer, so we got rid of that.
Actually, it doesn't exhaust any heat, right?
It exhausts heat into the room that it's in,
A little bit.
a little bit. So it'll heat the kitchen a little bit, but that's fine. The kitchen's already hot anyway. But it uses a heat pump. So there's a ventless dryer, so you don't even need a vent to the outside. So there's no new holes in your house. It's just, it recirculates the air. It's actually really, if you break it down, I can get into the weeds a little bit. But basically it takes in a bit of the air and it dehumidifies it and just dehumidifies the same air over and over. And it dumps the water overboard, right? Like out through the drain. And so it just gets hotter and hotter as it goes, right? Using just the normal heat pump stuff. So it's really cool. And I highly recommend it. We got an electric hot water tank instead of the gas one. So that was another hole in the roof that we didn't need. So we took out our chimney, which was nice because it was going to fall down anyway. And so that's electric. And I put a thing on the top. It's not in the picture anymore, like, because I just recently did it. But there's a timer on there that knows the time of use rates that we're on. And so it'll heat the water only when it's cheap. So that's cool. And then we got an induction range because we used to have gas range, and the induction one actually is extremely better, like so much better. This thing's extremely better. Yeah, it's very fast. It boils water in no time flat. It's ridiculous. We got rid of our kettle because this thing boils water in under a minute. It's ridiculous. So there. So that's what the stuff you can do at your house. So our house is now gas free. It's purely electric, except for my crappy snowblower. That's the only gas thing we have left.
And your barbecue, no?
My barbecue is charcoal. I use lump charcoal, which is short carbon cycle. So I'm going to justify it and say that that's the exception. I get to keep that because barbecue meat is important to me. And it's a short carbon cycle. It's trees. Yeah, it's not digging up new carbon. It's whatever. The other thing you can do is get politically active, right? So that handsome fellow in the back with the sign is Nick, and then the other guy is me, obviously. Vote for parties with progressive environmental platforms, with a chance of winning, hopefully. Join local environmental movements, participate with, them in rallies, join EVCO if you're not already. We have outreach events. We try and go, like that's us going to OC Transport to check out their shiny new electric buses, of which they're getting hundreds more in the next couple of years. So that's excellent. That was us. We led that e-bus program. And OC Transport was now no longer buying diesel buses at all. They're electric from here on out. I just watched the new Transit Commission meeting, and Emil Carr was saying that even if we wanted diesel buses, there were 2 councillors that were like, well, what if we need a backup plan? Right? And so it's like, even if you want to buy diesel now, the bus companies don't want to sell them to you. So it's electric from now on, because it's not even happening. They're switching the entire fleet. There you go. We can do it.
Sorry, is there any talk of refurbishing the diesel?
No, not yet.
So yeah, so there is a company that actually what they do, so OC Transport, like all transit authorities, they do a major refit of a bus about halfway through its life.
Mid-life refit.
So they keep, the OC Transport keeps the buses normally 15 years. And on the 7th or 8th year, they do a major overhaul. And they usually change the engine and the transmission, okay? So there is a company that will go and replace that with an electric powertrain and batteries and all that. But there's not very much activity in that space at this point, so I'm not sure if it's really.
So it's unclear, but there is sort of a silver lining. The new diesels that Ottawa bought are Nova buses. And we're actually buying the electric version of that exact bus. So it's possible in like 10 years when those buses need refurbishment, the diesel ones, that the electric equivalent might just be something that can, like they can be converted to the same electric one. We're not sure, right? It's something that OC Transit is gonna have to explore with the manufacturer, but it kind of logically, like, I wouldn't see why there'd be a lot of roadblocks between doing that since it's the exact same platform, right? The Nova bus is the same. They have a diesel, they have a hybrid, they have an electric, they have a hydrogen one for some reason. And so they're all the same platform, it's the same exact bus, it's just different powertrains. So I would think that there shouldn't be a too complicated engineering path to go from the diesel to the electric version with that model.
Because
but-
as long as the electric one doesn't require more structural reinforcement for the heavier roof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The backs on the roof.
So I think that, I think in the case of Nova, the batteries are in the back compartment where the diesel engine occupies. But I'm not sure on that. So, but I mean, they have an electric version. We are buying the electric version now, so we'll see. Like, it's to be determined.
Yeah, one thing to notice by the end of 2027, because of the timing of procurement over decades, they're gonna have to replace about half their fleet and they'll be all electric, right? So,
Yeah. And we're getting 60-foot electrics as well.
yes,
Next year or the year after. And they're actually better than the diesel ones because they have center wheel drive as well as rear. Whereas the 60 foots right now are only rear wheel drive, so you're pushing up road, up this hill. And then they all jackknife on Bronson and Bridge. Yeah, thanks to you. That's it, released. Also, I'm very proud of that graphic. I commandeered Rosen Riveter.
actually, I'll probably do something about climate change in the future usually because I've been, for those of you who've talked to me a lot this year, you know that I did two presentations that were actually aimed at doomers, okay? So I'm part of an organization called KCOR, Canadian Association for the Club of Rome. And most of the people in that organization, I'm an exception, they have PhDs and all that. Some of them are climate scientists, actually, one's a glaciologist, anyways. And they are at the point where, because of the situation we had 30 years ago, they believe there's no way for us to get out of this without eliminating, like, most of the population, okay? I think that's not a good solution.
Sounds
Honestly.
like new age eugenics or something.
Yeah, but if you look at what's happened over the last 20 years, really, and actually the last 5 years in particular, there used to be this area of that we call the hard to abate sectors, right? So aviation and shipping, and there's a few, cement is still a bit of an issue. But right now, there are solutions for every single one of these areas to decarbonize them, okay? And anyways, I've been reading about this a lot because actually they asked me as a third part of those presentations I did to answer the question, do we have enough materials to do this transition? And the answer is a resounding yes, okay? Just to summarize it, but anyways, so, if there's a lot of misinformation, disinformation out there, it's unreal. There's stuff that I thought was true that turns out is disinformation, okay?
The dangerous thing about the doomerism is that it's apathy. Is that what they're trying
Yes.
to foster, right?
Yeah.
Whereas the old denialism, you could counter it with data, right? You could just be like, well, obviously, and your own eyes can prove it wrong, right? Just by witnessing events happening.
Yeah.
Right? Whereas a new doomerism, it's like they want you to disengage and unplug and just like not think about it, which is a lot more tempting to people and a lot harder to correct. Because if somebody's disengaged, then you can do whatever you want. They're just gonna be like, whatever, I don't care. Right? And it's hard to convince those people who have been doomerized
Yeah.
to make the transition, even though it's possible.
And if you want to have a view of what that looks like, I've already talked about the book. It's called Not the End of the World from Hannah Ritchie. And it's a fantastic book that explains what we're doing in every sector of the economy to decarbonize and all that. So the future looks a lot brighter than people think. But we need people to, like you said, take action, right? So anyways, let's go through the last year just to, the reason I want to do this is to go over how much stuff we did last year, because we did a lot. Actually, there's stuff that we did that was sort of like side projects that weren't quite totally EVCO projects that we did also. But these are specifically EVCO projects that we would have done actually with the Bar Center in the vast majority of cases here. So the first thing we did this whole thing on February 15th. That was a holdover from the arrangements for the first year of EV Experience, where we had to do some workplace type of events. And this was the last one of those events. There was just a social downtown. We did a presentation and a little social gathering. Then it was the Salon des Véhicules électriques de l'Outaouais, which I mentioned earlier. That's what it looked like last year. It should look a lot better this year because they're supposed to have replaced the carpet there. It was terrible, the carpet. It made a lot of dust. We had to wipe the cars all the time because of that. Anyways, so that's where we're gonna be in 2 weeks from now. So next event was not the picture, the picture is not from there. Like I said, I don't have pictures of all the events. The Kenville Sustainability Fair, great event, lots of people, lots of test drives, but no pictures. At least I don't have any. The picture there is from the other one, the Living Well Show, which that was less of a successful event. So lesson learned there that that particular event didn't attract very many people. Next events, Earth Fest in Carleton Place. So we're doing it again this year, right? Last year we did it. You see at the top, that's what it looked like. At the bottom there, that's a great Glebe garage sale, and my car and Mike's car there, and we talked to a lot of interesting people, including one person that told me that she loves her oil. But anyways,
Yep.
there's crazy people out there. Anyways, that was good to interact with a lot of people. This event and a few of the other previous events we used to attract people to the event that we had in Blackburn, which is a couple of slides down, I believe. No, this slide right there. So the top picture is that's a Blackburn Fun Fair, and depending on the day, we had up to about 10 EVs there, and did lots of test drives and all that. So a pretty good event, and of course we're going to repeat it this year. We did an event at the Sprott School of Business. We did some test drives there. That was also part of the commitment that the Enviro Center had made for EVX. We got a few.
Yeah, it's okay.
And we had they actually had an electric golf cart type of thing that they were using. No, a 4-wheeler that was electric, which was kind of cool.
I just wanted to say, I'm a resident of Blackburn, and seeing all of your cars there and finally getting to test drive Sam's Ioniq 5 last year was what really pushed me over the edge to buy an EV and get it. And so it's really great being there, and I look forward to participating this year.
Well,
Thanks, man.
Welcome.
they had a very active environmental committee in the community association. And actually, one of the, she might be on the call, actually, Lynn, she might be there, I'm not sure. Yeah, she is there. Lynn's on the that committee, and she's got a Tesla Model 3. Anyways, next event. So we did Seats for Kids clinic, so we did test drives there.
Yeah, and that wasn't a rainy day. That is smoke from wildfires.
That's right.
Climate change. Oh.
That is right.
So we had to wear masks because it was so bad you could actually smell burnt wood.
Yeah, I was just trying to find any picture I could get, and I hadn't noticed that. It's true, it was really, really bad at that time. But again, a pretty good event, and we'd like to repeat it this year, so.
We'll try, yeah. See if it exists.
Anyways, we did another small event for OREC in Dunrobin. We just had a bunch of cars there. It turns out that many of the people who attended the event already had an EV anyways, because if you're part of OREC, so the Ottawa
Renewable Energy
Co-op, you're probably greenish or conscious about these things, and you're probably already driving an EV, but the point was to show the EVs to the rest of the members that were there. So next event was Capital Cruise for Kids car and bike show for Chio. So that was a static display we had there. I chose the picture on top because remember there was someone who brought his Genesis.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a Genesis there. You don't see it very often. At least I don't recognize it very often. It's kind of hard. It doesn't look like, it looks like every other car, right? So it's hard to spot. Anyways, beautiful car. So lots of people there. That was a pretty good day. Especially when there was that accident there. I don't know if you remember. There was a lady that fell off her motorcycle.
Oh, right, and the ambulance came.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. Anyways, good event. So at the bottom, the picture is something unrelated, but this was with Enviro Center, where Nicolas and I went to bring some trees and some mulch and some other stuff to a garden that they were doing in downtown Ottawa. It's near De La Salle, somewhere around there. So they're trying to rewild some portions of the land there to improve the environment from personal perspective, right? So to reduce heat and all that kind of stuff. So anyways, we did that. We went to Food Basics on Maryville. That was an event not to repeat. We didn't talk to very many people at all. Hey, we tried it, it didn't work out, so, yeah, so we were sitting in front of, the Food Basics and people were just more or less ignoring us, so. We had a good chat with the rest of us, but anyways, this picture here is from down here. Those are 4 Ioniq 5s
The
from.
best looking cars.
Just saying.
I needed a picture, so that's what I took. We did an event at the Museum of Science and Technology. We were inside and, the Museum of Science and Tech is, it's the volume of people going through there will vary a lot depending on the weather outside, okay? So it turned out that the weather was fairly good outside, so there weren't very many people coming inside. So we were hoping for massive rainfall. So we would come in, but that didn't happen. But anyways, we still talked to a few, quite a few people. We had a table there. And anyways, had fun. Next event's Navin Fair. For those of you who remember it, the bottom picture is more like it. We had massive rainfall. So when we wanted the Science Museum. We
That's
did.
in my basement.
Yeah, so it was so bad that they canceled a whole bunch of events, okay, which sort of made the whole thing a bit of a downer. That being said, we still talked to a lot of people and we had the F-150, which you see down here, the Lightning, which was lent to us by, yeah, which dealer again? I can't remember the name of
I
it.
still have a license plate.
Hey?
The license plate.
Yeah, I had another picture that showed the side of it. You can see it up there. It's anyways, the dealer in Orleans. They lent it to us as long as we didn't do test drives with it. Anyways, and a lot of people came to see it. A lot of people were very interested in that vehicle, and I drove it there. And if I was looking for a pickup truck, I would be buying that thing. It's pretty amazing. So that was that event. So you know, if the weather had been better, this would have been an amazing event, right? The weather really caused it to be less amazing. So the next event was a West Barrhaven test drives. I actually wasn't there. I don't have pictures, so maybe someone else has pictures. That one, we had lots and lots of test drives is what I heard.
I was there, I didn't take any pictures, I was doing test drives.
Yeah, so that's a good thing. So very popular event and something that we might want to do again. Then we did a cone roast thing with Manifestation in Petrie Island. That didn't generate very much traffic. A few people came and talked to us, but not very many. It was really an event to repeat. Capital Pride, we had a booth, as you can see here on Bank Street. The Enviro Center had a booth there with, you can see it a bit there. I think you can see it a bit there. They had a tablecloth that had Enbridge on the side of it. But anyways, we weren't too happy about that. But anyways, we talked to a lot of people. There was lots of traffic depending on the day. During the early morning, the traffic was, try not to say the word normal, but more usual, let's say. As the day went by, things became more interesting. It was really interesting to see everybody that was there. Fun event, lots of good conversations. Then we went to Westport for the watercolor thing. So we just displayed some cars there on September 9th. It's also a event with many people.
Preaching to the converted.
And preaching to convert to some degree.
You're bringing net zero home, you're probably already.
Yeah. So this guy here, Landark Developments, what they're trying to do is the guy would like the whole development industry to go net zero, okay? He's trying to push that, he's trying to educate the public about net zero and all this. So anyways, pretty interesting fellow. So next event was actually, there's another one, but this is on the other slide. Just Farm Fest, that was, you went there with, is that the one that
Yeah.
were there too, yeah. Not particularly fantastic,
okay.
you know?
I gave kids cotton candy.
Yeah, after you laps, after the cotton candy machine laps, the traffic dramatically slowed down.
That's true. I see, I lure the kids with the cotton candy
Well,
machine
that-
powered by the car. And then the parents have to follow and then ask questions or else they feel guilty about their kids having free cotton candy.
Maybe we should have this.
So I pulled the old guilt trip thing and it worked.
But maybe we should have that at Blackbird.
Yeah, I can do that. Run it off the car.
Any trick, right? Any trick.
Balloons are good too.
We don't care why they try these two.
Yeah.
As long as they try.
As long as their parents find one.
Exactly. So anyways, next event, I think it's the last one on my slide, and actually this bus, like you see, on the way here, I saw one of them. It's one of the 4 electric buses that OC Transport has. We had one, but it was in the Pride Library, and I got a picture of it, but I want to show this one because it says 100% electric on the side of it. Anyways, 3,500 people went through our display, okay, a lot of people. Which was great because we got to talk to a lot of people. The part of the show that was inside, they were complaining that they weren't getting any traffic. So, don't know why that is. Got some ideas, but anyways, 3,500 visitors, and we did a whole bunch of test drives. I don't have the exact amount, but we were quite busy throughout the day doing test drives. I think that's it. Oh, the last thing we did, and I don't have a picture of that either, is the party on November 6th to say thank you to all the volunteers. So I don't know why I don't have a picture for that, but anyways, I don't. So that's it. In terms of metrics, this is from EnviroCenter. 6 test drive events, 8 booth events. I think there's actually more than that, but I don't know what the split is. They encountered 336 test drives, and anyways, it's always a bit more than that, whatever. Test rides about 200, and you see the rest of the information there, right? So, so a pretty good year overall. And we hopefully will do something similar this year.
What's the general idea? What's the first test drive event?
It's the 20th of April, I think, right? So I'm going over that at the beginning. And I'll send out an email to all the volunteers with information to sign up on that, okay? I'll do that probably tomorrow, okay? I've been working on trying to get all this stuff lined up. So Craig, your turn.
Okay. Driver assisted systems, referred to as ADAS, go by many names. Blue Cruise, Super Cruise, I can go on and on. All EVs and most ICE vehicles that are available today come with some form of ADAS, which stands for Advanced Driver Assisted Systems. Many companies are trying to work at coming at better and better ADAS systems on the road to having full self-driving or fully autonomous vehicles. The names, there are many of them. The Society of Automotive Engineers, the SAE, has a global leveling system that goes from level 0, which is your old Model A Ford, to level 5 autonomy, which is the Holy Grail. It's the vehicle that can drive anywhere, anytime, on any public road, at any time of day, in any weather, with no one in the vehicle at all, or maybe even someone asleep in the back seat or something like that. That is the Holy Grail. No one has reached it yet. We are on that road, and I will be talking about 4 different companies today. The first is, of course, Waymo and Cruise, Mercedes, and Tesla. So there's a lot of confusion, a lot of different information about, there we go, about the fully autonomous driving, and I will try and go quick, but I will also try and be your chef Gordon Ramsay on trying this Hell's Kitchen of confusion and try and give you a distilled down version about fully autonomous driving as it is, where we are, where we're going, and where we will be. Well, most car manufacturers are working on that. As I say, Tesla, Waymo, and Cruise are some of the leaders, and Mercedes as well. Think of the level system as Michelin stars. You would think that a higher starred restaurant or a higher level of automation would be better, but some of the lower levels are still very safe and doing a lot of things. The other thing that happens when you have these fancy restaurants is they have dress codes. In the fully autonomous world, it's called restrictions, where it can be used, when it can be used, how it can be used. So the goal, of course, is we want something that is no dress code. We can use it anywhere, anytime, and still be very safe. The Mercedes Drive Pilot is considered level 3, and it is the only system that you and I can buy. The only problem is it only works in the LA rush hour traffic for a level 3. Other than that, what's available here in Canada, all of the systems are considered level 2 or below. So even the most advanced Tesla system, the level 5 full self-driving that I'm sure everybody's heard of, is still considered a level 2 system, the same as everybody else that had available. I will say the one of the many places that Elon Musk deserves a little bit of a whatever is, and have created a bit of a blunder, is in the naming of their systems. They have really caused problems because they've set unrealistic expectations. They've set, he comes at this from the perspective of a software engineer. He is where it is common to have product roadmaps, where it's common to have future things and not have name things by what they will do eventually, not what they're able to do today. And that, along with his Asperger's and this ability of going at, well, this is what we want your car to do in the future. Yeah, I can't do it yet, but we'll get there someday and you'll get a free over-the-air update to get it, is why we have, I think, the problems we have, some of the problems we have. Another problem with
Can I
the
interrupt for a
Teslas.
sec, Craig?
Yep.
Sorry, we're not seeing the slides advance. We're still seeing the Gordon Ramsay slide.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. I forgot the advance one. Thank you. That one, I forgot to miss. I missed my cue there. So, the other problem as well with Tesla is that every Tesla manufactured after 2018 can run any of the autopilot Teslas. Oops. The Tesla things, the full autopilot, the enhanced autopilot, or the full self-driving beta. So it's, and people often confuse the free autopilot with the full self-driving beta. And it's only $16,000 to upgrade your vehicle from the free autopilot that, yes, exactly, for the low price of $16,000. You know, Raymond, you saw all the work Raymond did here. Does anybody want to buy Raymond the full self-driving upgrade for thank him for all the work? Anyway, as I say, only a credit card charge and free over-the-air update to get there. The other problem, of course, is that when people hear the word autopilot, they think of an aircraft autopilot where you can turn it on and walk away and do something else, which of course is not what autopilot is. Well, yeah, exactly, but that's what people think of. And of course, this has created a lot of confusions. So all of the systems, including Tesla's full self-driving beta system, require people to be 100% paying attention 100% of the time. The autonomous driving systems available, all of the manufacturers are that case. You have to be able to take over and be able to, if there's something going wrong, you have to be able to take over instantly. We won't know who will win the race for full autonomy until it's completed, because it's very complex. Much as this, nope, oh, I did get it. There we go. What is better full autonomy? That's, you know, what can it do? Where can it be used? When can it be used? What weather can it operate in? All of these things are and are different with all of the different autonomous driving systems. And so the difference between the Tesla system and the Mercedes-Benz Mercedes system, which is level 3, is it has a lot more restrictions about where and when it can be used, i.e. only in LA.
But it's a level 3, whereas FSD is only level 2.
Where FSD is only level 2, but it can be used practically anywhere. So it's sort of that question of, well, who's actually farther ahead? Um, uh, so, of course, what we're going for here at the end of the day is alleviating driver stress, making it easier for people to drive, and of course, reducing accidents and reducing injuries and, of course, deaths. According to the IHL, yeah, you do it. Statistics, 42,000 people died in car accidents in 2021, an increase of 6,500 people per year from 2019. Car accidents that cause death have been on the rise for over a decade, thanks to distracted driving like texting and driving. There's at least 1 million people who go to hospital every year in the United States because of vehicle accidents caused by human drivers. One of the reasons Elon Musk and myself are pushing FSD is because of this kind of carnage on the roads. If we insist on a standard that fully autonomous driving systems Raymond, never have a death or never cause any injuries or whatever, we will doom people to have 1 million people die on the roads every year forever. Fully autonomous driving systems should only be judged by, are they better or reducing accidents than having only human drivers? It is self-evident that computers are not going to drive drunk. 35% of fatal motor vehicle accidents in the US are because of impaired driving. 30% are because of speed, all of which can be minimized or reduced because of autonomous driving. Now, if you go by what the media says, it would appear at first glance that often fully autonomous driving systems are actually more dangerous, that they're causing more death and creating huge problems. But is this true? Tesla has 5 million vehicles on the road. A greater number of vehicles means, statistically speaking, there are going to be more accidents. But how many accidents were actually the fault of autopilot or FSD beta? In Texas, in April 2020, just at the beginning of the pandemic, there was this big fiery crash that killed 2 people in Texas. Now, I bet, raise your hand, how many of you have actually heard about this accident? Most of you heard about it? No?
You probably don't remember, but.
You don't remember, but I bet you at the time you heard about it. Anyway. It was blamed. It says, driverless car. It was all blamed on the FSD and all of that. And then, Raymond? So, very soon after it, though, and that went all over, like the number of hits, it was on every news panel. That slide I captured like 3 or 4 days ago. Like, this is that you can still go on the internet and find that slide. This didn't receive as much attention, wasn't as widely distributed. Oh, actually, there was a driver behind the wheel. And then, of course, the next slide, if you actually read the NTSB accident report, which is really riveting reading, I'm sure all of you are going to rush out there to read it, it actually said that the vehicle at the time, Tesla's autopilot system, was not able to activate on roads with no center painted line. So it was actually impossible for the vehicle to be in autonomous mode because of the type of road that it was on where the accident took place. So obviously what happened was someone at the scene lied to police, shocking, and told them, oh yeah, it's the fault of the FSD, when in fact there was a human in the car and not using the autonomous driving system. And this is not the only example of where humans are blaming the Tesla, and actually, guess what? It's not their fault. So Cruise and Waymo have a level 4 autonomous driving systems, which means that there is no driver. They had significantly higher accident rates for every million miles that they drive compared to the U.S. national average, and even what Tesla reports about their own averages. In the case of Cruise and Waymo, all accidents are recorded and reported. So I won't ask for a show of hands this time, but how many of you have had an accident, minor fender bender, that maybe you didn't report to your insurance company or mention to the police type thing? I don't know. Just wondering. So is it really fair to look at all of their accident rates? Because typically most of their accidents that are happening are in inner cities where the computer is stopping suddenly because they're seeing a pedestrian or another vehicle, and the vehicle behind doesn't see that they're stopping suddenly, and the human behind isn't stopping in time and hitting the Cruise and Waymo vehicle. So it's normally the human's fault, not the computer's fault, in most of their accidents. So as a society, my feeling is we should just not allow people to drive until they've had at least 5 years driving experience. If you look at the statistics, you're more likely to have an accident in the first 5 years of driving than you are for the next 20 years of driving. There's only one problem. We can't do that. We can't stop people from driving for the first 5 years of their driving lives. And the problem is the same is true for the full self-driving or fully autonomous driving systems out there. We need to have the practice to be able to figure out what's going on. These systems are getting better every month. Yes, and then
So statistically speaking, the less time you've driven.
Yeah. That's why we have graduated licenses. So
Yeah.
No, but you have to get through those first 5 years anyways to get to where you have less accidents is what.
Yeah.
I guess the police trying to.
Yeah. Yeah, it's an analogy. I mean, I'm just saying that we do have to, and certainly as part of graduating licensing and all of this, I mean, that's what Tesla's doing, where they aren't saying it's level 5, they're saying it's level 2. You have to have a licensed driver always there, ready to take over like that, if there's ever a problem. And all of the other manufacturers, as I say, except for Mercedes in LA rush hour, is saying the same thing. You have to be able to take over at a moment's notice. So my recommendation about this is always take autonomous driving accidents and other problems that are being reported in the media with about as much salt as you do with general EV reporting. Yeah. Sorry, I missed that one. Anyway, sorry, I lost my place. Yes, take EV autonomous vehicle reporting with as much salt as you do regular EV reporting, because believe it or not, in my opinion, I think when it comes to fully autonomous driving reporting, it's actually worse than EV reporting, if you can believe that. Elon has said that he will not go for level 5 full autonomy until he is sure that the Tesla system can be at least twice as good, probably 10 times better than the average person. And so he is not really planning on doing the levels. He's just going straight from level 2 to level 5 when he thinks the system's ready. So next one. Over 40,000 people died in the US last year, as I mentioned. I personally lost a cousin a few years ago to a human car accident caused by a human, and it has devastated my cousin-in-law's family. And she's dead. The rest of the family, her family is deeply affected by this. And that kind of carnage is what we need to find ways to minimize and to stop this kind of suffering. 40,000 people is a lot of people that are suffering just in America, 1 million around the world. And my hope is that if it isn't Elon, that someone else figures out this full self-driving and that we get this implemented so that sooner rather than later, so that we can stop this kind of carnage, because this suffering needs to stop. And fully autonomous driving can save millions of lives if we let it and we encourage it to happen. Thank you. Any questions?
Just a thought, Greg, Elon Musk, I just finished reading this book, right or not.
Yes.
But he seems to be going all optical and forgetting the LiDAR. I just wondered what your thoughts on that are.
I understand his, my science knowledge is, only, I'm the son of an engineer. I'm not actually an engineer myself, but I understand and believe his science, part, that the problem with LiDAR is that it doesn't work in any sort of fog, in any sort of, rain, in any sort of snow. And so LiDAR works great if you only want a vehicle that will operate, in good weather, which is great if you live in Arizona where it may rain 3 days a year. But
Optical cameras don't work in rain or fog or snow either.
well, they work far better than well, it depends.
Frequency.
It depends on how much fog. It depends on how much fog,
He removed radar, which does work through fog.
Yes. Again, but he is actually working, as from the book, he is working on a super radar, like he's trying to.
Sure,
But why remove technology instead?
why remove a technology that's better than humans? If you want a robot to drive a car, why not give it superhuman abilities like seeing through fog?
I have a theory on that, which I'm probably not sure, but it has to do with Elon.
Yeah, he likes simple, he likes cheap.
Well,
He's limiting a superhuman robot.
That's a big part of it.
This is a big part of vision.
it is. It also is. The other thing that where it was coming in was the conflicts, that if you have if radar says X and vision says Y, what do?
Radar, because it can see through fog.
But the problem is radar
Thermal cameras, right? Like there's better spectrum that humans don't have access to that robots absolutely could utilize.
I agree with you on the.
Limiting the robot to human vision, which is insane.
I agree with you on the. I don't understand why he hasn't gone to better cameras. That you're right.
Like infrared would work better.
Yes, I agree.
Using color vision, like give me a break.
Yeah, I mean, I drive all the time on snowy roads. Now they won't go as fast, and they bring your speed down as they should, and all of that. And if it's really bad, it sometimes won't go. But yeah, no, I've worked. I've run FSD in a snowstorm.
So on snow, I can't get the lane assist to work on my car.
Yeah, but that you have the 2019.
So I should do the same lane assist.
But it's a completely different software package that you're running than I'm running. So yes, currently only the $16,000. I paid less, but that was because I bought it a long time ago. But only the full self-driving currently will activate in snowstorms. You mean like when there's nothing on the road? It's actually not bad. The only problem I have, I drive every day from Carlton Place to Carp, like rural Carp type thing. And one of the roads is a 2-lane, very narrow, 80 kilometers an hour sort of speed limit, but like this is the edge of the road, and the ditch is like would swallow me up type thing, type thing, and it starts here, like it's and it like it'll put the wheel of the Tesla like right here, and even when there's no oncoming cars, and I get a little sort of iffy about that because it's not, the pavement along the edge isn't that great. So, I keep, sending in reports and all that, and we'll see. The new version 12 that's available in the States right now is really, they've redone a whole bunch of stuff and they've retrained it and all of that. And the reports I'm seeing from the people who are using it in the States, it's a really, it's a whole nother level up. Like this is, I'm running version 11, they're now doing version 12. As you go up, each version is getting better and better and better. So we'll see what version 12 does in the winter.
One of the things is, I'm thinking about what Tesla does, large language models. The more a Tesla goes down the road, every image is captured in the data bank and a bunch of servers out on the west coast of the United States. So that road that you're going down, if one car has only gone down that road, it's not that great, but if 1,000 Teslas got down, Tesla knows what happens on that road right down to the very meter. Or centimeter.
I don't think it's quite like that.
Well, what it is with
They take a look at, like,
They don't record all the video.
they don't record all of it, but they do.
Some stuff, if there's an incident where you take over,
Yes,
they'll send that.
well, and that's what I've been doing.
Right? So they won't do the regular stuff, and I've been driving on roads that I've driven dozens, if not hundreds of times, and it still thinks that, still limits the.
are you talking about phantom braking?
No, well, phantom braking is one issue, but the adaptive cruise control still limits me to only 10 kilometers above the limit.
Yeah.
Even though the car's been there, my own car's been there hundreds of times, and other cars have too. Right?
I think that's a constraint that you put in, but like you probably.
No, I don't have that constraint.
But just the point here, you probably notice your phantom braking has gone way down.
Yes.
Over the years because Tesla's got really good at recognizing where those issues are.
And actually, that's also removing radar, because radar was hitting things, and that was one of the reasons it was causing phantom braking was signal noise from the radar system.
I mean,
Yeah, but I'll be honest with you. I've seen when I'm driving my car that it will literally give me an alert for a pedestrian inside of a turn. And I'm like, yeah, it's great. The pedestrian's in front of me on the other side of the street, and I'm going to be turning, but you're still giving alerts and do phantom brakes and all that type of stuff. For
yes,
if it actually would pay attention to the map, it would know that this is a turn. And it
do you have the FSD or do you have the regular?
No. I've just got the alert that's in it. I don't have the full FSD. I've driven the full FSD once on one of the loaner, and it almost killed me at Saint Laurent. Okay, coming off the highway, it could not come off the highway by itself, and it was dangerous. Like I was in the right lane, just about to turn going east towards coming on Saint Laurent, and then you go north on Saint Laurent. It literally cut off onto the left lane of the. And there was no car beside me, good thing. And it decided to turn at the light into the incoming cars that were parked at the red light. It didn't actually pay attention to what the road map was.
Wow.
It was
Now, when was that? Because I had that happen again back
6 months ago.
we don't want to.
6 months ago.
Anyway, let's move it on. Yes, but you have one question. Last question.
So you've made a point that this is software and it can be updated, and
Yeah.
I can't install software on my own computer without having to accept a EULA that says I have absolutely no warranty, I can't sue them, I can't do anything to them, and good luck. If you want FSD to be 10 times better than a human driver,
yes,
you still got 4,000 accidents, 4,000 deaths a year. Who do you see as holding the liability for that?
Well, eventually it will be Tesla at the, once they've sort of said, okay, we're now, and it's one of the complaints about the level system. I didn't get into in all of this was most people say, actually, the level system is only who do you sue if there's a problem? Essentially, level 3 means you actually can sue Mercedes-Benz if you're on the LA freeway and there's a problem. There's a point at which you can sue Mercedes-Benz there. So that's the sort of at level 5. You're never at complaint.
Do you think car manufacturers are going to take this on willingly, or do you think regulation is going to be required?
I think they will take it on willingly in the sense that I think it will be that it'll be the carrot is that you can buy a car that can drive anywhere and you don't actually have to be in there and I can send my car home and whatever, that the value of that vehicle is a lot more than a value of a car that you always have to be driving. So
But-
that's the question of,
But
you
for
know,
now, Tesla's asking people to pay 16 grand to be a beta tester on software that might kill them because it's a level 2 system.
yes.
And that they get to have all the liability that goes along with that if they kill somebody with their self-driving car that doesn't drive itself properly.
Well, I mean, that's why you always have to,
$15,000.
why you have to always be there
Okay.
to be able to make the.
Why pay 16 grand for that?
And if the car disagrees with me, you know,
You have to
we'll just,
live.
we'll just disengage.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
not to plug his efforts.
Yeah, beta tester. It doesn't have any-
I mean, yeah, it's all depending, it's the early adopters, who likes to be the early adopter, who likes to play with the new technology, you know? And I mean, I do find it, on highways, my last point would be on highways, I do find it much more relaxing. You know, driving to and from, my work every day, I'm on the highway all the time. And I have never had a disengagement on the highway in the last, you know, 7 years. The only place I'm getting disengagements now is construction or weird.
Disengagement, what do you mean?
That means I'm taking over, right? The FSD is driving 100% of the time and the type thing, and I only have to take over. As I say, this one road, this very narrow road where this is the edge of the road and this is a, you know, 6-foot ditch. It likes to hug that road too much, so I will disengage on that sometimes as it's hugging it, and things like that. There's some construction it's still not great at and things like that.
Okay.
But other than that, I love it and I find it less stressful. The first versions were very stressful.
All right, thanks, Greg. Oops. Long one. All right, time for the news. So Alain, you are in the news, as you probably know, since you were interviewed. CBC Ottawa ran an article this month about Nissan Leaf owners experiencing problems with their battery packs. To their credit, a lot of the owners, and CBC, you know, put this in the article, they went out of their way to say, look, this is not a general EV problem. This is a Nissan Leaf problem. And it's stuff that we kind of all knew about for a long, long time. These are problems that EV nerds like us have known about since day one. Basically that, you know, Nissan Leafs don't manage their batteries thermally like every other car. They still use CHAdeMO, which nobody else uses, for charging, right? There's a lot of issues with the Leaf that people who are EV insiders and EV nerds know about, but random people on the street may not know or care about, and then it comes to bite them. And that's sort of what the article is saying, is that a lot of Nissan Leaf owners, some with new Leafs, right, bought in 2016, that's reasonably new, it's still very much under warranty, and yet Nissan won't replace the battery under warranty because they just don't make that anymore. And it's like, well, it's still warranted though, so why can't I get a new battery? And Alain, they moved the goalposts on him, right? So 12 bars is the health of the Leaf. The Leaf shows it in 12 bars. And the first bar is actually more than the other 11 for some reason, because they hide some degradation in there. And they said that anything below, I think it's 8, you get a new battery, right? If your car goes below 8 bars, new battery time, except when he brought his car with 8 bars or below 8 bars, they had 7 bars. They said, oh, actually, no, we've changed it now. So if you have 7 bars, you're still good, right? Is that what they said, Alain?
So let me explain it properly. So what happened is I started to actually have distance issue, I'm gonna say, and I went in, got the car checked, and like, oh yeah, you need to have be at 9 bar. So when I reached 9 bar, I called Nissan. I was like, oh no, you need to be at 7 bar. And then they came back and say, oh no, you need to be at 8 bar. And he's like, they can never get their story straight on when they're gonna change the battery. We've got family that have a brick now. It's been parked at the dealership for probably 3-4 months now, and they've got no battery from it. And often the problem is it's actually not the full battery, right? If Nissan would open the battery pack and just replace the couple cells that have issue, those cars would restart and would be fine and would actually work quite well. But it's really a Nissan issue. And talking with the journalist, because like what you see there for me about me is like just like maybe like 10 lines. There's a little bit of things that he changed a little bit in the story, but talking with him probably for a good half an hour, 45 minutes, it was clear to him that this was a really a Nissan issue, not every EV issue. So
Yeah. And so to their credit, this didn't become an anti-EV article. This was very much a Nissan, you need to be held accountable article. So that's nice to see, but just so you guys know it's out there in case somebody, one of your friends brings it up. Thanks, Elaine. That was great. And good job.
and it's sold now. I don't own this. I do not own the Leaf anymore.
There you go.
That's
Yeah, I
as of
sold
last
mine too. So. Okay, so I made a new EV graph prediction model thing because we got the 2023 year-end data. And so I added the new blue point, which Raymond has covered up because you didn't copy and paste with
Really?
formatting.
No, I did. But
No, it was perfect when I sent it to you. Anyway. So there's this idea out there that EV sales are in decline. It's being widely reported as fact. And so media outlets are just parroting this nonsense that EV sales are in decline. Oh yeah, of course they're in decline. We've heard that. Yeah, of course. But the fact is that the data doesn't actually bear that out. What's happened is that two automakers, Ford and GM specifically, their EV sales were in decline because they were selling expensive EVs that the market didn't want, which has become the story about EV sales in general are in decline, which is not true. In fact, EV sales or plug-in sales grew last year, almost 50% year over year, which is higher than the growth rate from the previous year, which was 43% year over year. Not only were more EVs than ever before sold last year, but the rate of growth of sales has increased as well. So they are very much not in decline. 10% of all new vehicles last year were electric, and we're looking at 15% this year, which puts us squarely in the early majority part of the chart. So this is an adoption curve. The red line is what I predicted back in 2017. I did some math and made a little fancy, pretty picture. And then the blue line is real sales, like actual data. And so my projection has been remarkably accurate even through a pandemic, which was pretty cool. Of the 1.7 million vehicles that hit the road last year, 184,000 were plugins. So that's pretty cool. So when you hear that the EV sales are in decline, total bullshit.
yeah, this is something worldwide and in the US in particular, it's a narrative.
It's a narrative that is being taken as fact and it's complete bullshit.
And I think there's an agenda behind it.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're trying to get governments to relax their position.
Yeah.
on deadlines for going.
Yeah.
Zero emissions.
They're also trying to head off the early majority because what happens if you follow this, I did a whole thing on this that I didn't present yet, but basically once you get to early majority, that's when the mass market thing happens. And so you can see the curve goes exponential at that point. And when you hit early majority, it becomes an adopted technology. Like that's just, it takes over. And so incumbents who don't want that to happen with EVs are pushing hard right now for that exact reason. They do not want it to become an early majority adoption thing because if it does, then they lose the game. Right, when cell phones hit 15%, they took off. When color TVs hit 15%, they took off and took over, right? And it doesn't take long to go from 15% to 90%, right? It's less than a decade to do that. And so the oil companies, they all know this, they're not stupid. They see the writing on the wall. And if they can make this chart not happen, then they get to make money more years. But if this happens this year, if they hit 15%, we hit 15% EV sales, then it's game over for them and they know it. And so that's why there's a lot of FUD out there right now coming out trying to like say, oh, nobody wants EVs, don't buy an EV, don't worry about, no, they don't work. They don't work in the winter. Yeah. Quebec is scaling back rebates and they're going to cut them entirely in 2027. Now Quebec's already at 20% market share for plugins. But starting January 1st next year, their rebate from 7,000 goes down to 4. Plug-in hybrids go down to 2 from 5. 2026, they go down to 2 for EVs and 1 for PHEVs. And then 2027, they all go to 0. So they're, like I said, they're at 20% basically. And they still get the 5,000 rebate, just like Ontario. Ontario hasn't had a rebate since we elected the Blue Party option. So now Quebec's experiencing the same fun thing with blue parties. So there you go. Chevy unveiled the 2024 Equinox EV. They dropped the 1LT, which was going to be the cheapest car available. So now they start at 48,000 instead of 30 something. This is Canadian pricing. All of them are front wheel drive models. All of them qualify for IZEV, the 5,000 rebate. You can place your orders now and delivery start in June.
So they
So if you want a Blazer.
have all-wheel drive.
All-wheel drive is coming. It hasn't been announced. It hasn't been priced. It's coming next year.
Their website talks about it.
It talks about it, but it's not a thing.
It's not available.
So don't worry about it. Talk about it next year when it comes.
Sorry, what?
That's a Equinox.
LT, 1LT, 1VLT.
That's just how they name the
The
cars.
1LT exists, but it's probably gonna come out years from now, so they're.
LT doesn't mean anything. It's just the branding nonsense. Yeah. The 1LT did exist until they cut it because it was too cheap and they didn't want people to have affordable cars. Ford plans an affordable car. There we go. So Chevy won't do it, but Ford might. So they're planning a small, affordable electric pickup. They're aiming for 25,000 US, which is a very good price for a pickup truck. Jim Farley explained that he's afraid of the Chinese. The Chinese are coming with very affordable cars. They have one that's less than $10,000 US now. Going for sale in Europe.
Yeah, probably in Europe?
Yeah.
No.
Not yet. It's in China, but it's going to Europe.
Because it probably doesn't meet the safety requirements.
I don't know. Anyway, it's BYD.
But they're making very,
Very affordable
expensive
cars.
And.
Yeah.
They're gonna keep on doing.
So I love the quote from Jim Farley. He's like, as a CEO of a company that had trouble competing with the Japanese and the South Koreans, right? Toyota, Hyundai. We have to fix this problem because you can't lose 20 or 30% of your revenue, right? Which is what happened with the Japanese and the Koreans when they came to North America. So they're hoping to have the first model launch in 2026. So 2 years from now, it'll have lithium iron phosphate batteries. And they're delaying their 3-row giant SUV in favor of the smaller, cheaper one. So that's something cool. Tesla Supercharger Network is now open to Ford and Rivian owners. If you didn't know that already, as a Ford or Rivian owner, you can go play on the Tesla Supercharger if you have an adapter. These are the ones without the Magic Docks. Everybody can use a Tesla Supercharger with the Magic Dock, which are on Highway 17 between here and Sudbury. But you need the adapter. So Ford owners, you have until June 30th to claim your free prize. I don't know when Rivian's cutoff is. But send in your request for your free adapter, and otherwise you have to pay a couple $100.
Just a little one quick thing on that adapter, if there's people who are using it. The level 3 adapter can't be used on level 2 charger. Okay. So
Yeah, that's
you
right.
need
It
a
can only
level
be
2
on level
adapter.
3. Yeah.
Yeah, so
all-
you need a level 2 adapter for level 2 connection, and you need a level 3 for a level 3 connection.
That's right. Yeah. So these adapters are only for superchargers, not for destination chargers. That's a different adapter. Rivian revealed the R2 small SUV, which is very cute and looks like a Land Rover. It's going to come out in 2027, apparently. Pricing is around 67,000 Canadian, so Rivian pricing. It's considered compact, but it's the same size as the Grand Wagoneer was originally, which was a huge truck. It was called the Jeep full-size truck, I think was the nickname for it back in the day. Supposed to have more than 482-kilometer range, and it comes in 2 battery sizes. Pre-orders are open now, but the cars won't come until 2027. But what really set the internet on fire was this, the R3, which comes in 2 variants and is going to eat Subaru's lunch. It's a small hatchback, all-terrain SUV type thing, built on the same platform as the R2, but a little bit shorter. It has the same off-road capabilities, all-wheel drive. It's 482-kilometer range or more, and it's supposed to come in around 47,000 for the base model, so a bit more affordable than the other Rivians. Plus, it looks like a Lada Niva, which I think is really cool. That back end there, but whatever. Anyway, Canada Post has ordered some new electric delivery vans. These are going to replace their gas ones, and they're actually powered by Rivian. So Rivian is selling them the platform, and then The company called Morgan Olson is building the van. Morgan Olson already builds the current fleet. They're an upfitter kind of thing. So they buy step vans and then upfit them for whatever customers want. So Morgan Olson is doing that to Rivian powered C250 vans down in Illinois. And they expect to transition half their fleet. So 7,000 vehicles by 2030 and the entire fleet by 2050.
Do you know if all the electric ones have that green, paint job?
No idea.
Because I saw one at the big plant there.
It's possible.
There, I saw at least one that had colors. like-
Yeah, so they also have a bunch of Ford Transit vans.
I think it was.
The E-Transit, yeah, they would have E-Transit. The Morgan Olson ones aren't quite out in the fleet yet. But Nanaimo is the first depot to go completely electric and it's gonna spread across the country with transit vans for now, and then you'll see these guys later on. But yeah, I don't know if that's how it's famous for their electrics. It looks good. I like it. Hyundai reveals the 2025 Ioniq 5 mid-cycle refresh. Those of you with keen eyes will notice the prominent rear wiper on the back windshield. Now, back by popular demand, rear wipers are a thing. It'll also have NACS instead of CCS.
But they didn't change the location of the charging port, right?
Nope, because it's in the correct location on the curb side of the car, where you don't get hit by traffic when you're trying to plug in at a public charger on the
Right,
street.
but if you're going to Tesla Super.
Yeah, well, Tesla can fix up chargers.
Sure, mate.
That's not gonna be.
Longer
convenient.
cables.
I think you
You just
should,
need some longer cables, you know,
I think
deal
you
with
should
it.
tweet that to Elon.
I should. Elon, your chargers are stupid. Fix them. The refresh includes a slightly larger battery, so up to 84 kilowatt hours from the current 77. Same exact dimensions though, so that's pretty cool. They increase the energy density a bit, which gives you a bit more range, 525 from the 487. But as Hyundai owners already know, those numbers are like the worst case numbers, and the real numbers are actually a little bit better. So that's cool. And then there's some interior minor tweaks. They've got a USB-C instead of USB-A now. And they've got a battery preconditioning button now, which is kind of cool. Stuff like that.
Did they tweak the battery chemistry to get that higher density?
Not to know of, no, they just
Well, yeah.
engineered it a little
It's
bit.
a chemistry update probably because.
A little
it's
bit.
The same.
It's still NMC, but
But the voltage is something like that too, where the software unlocked 5%, you know, they
Yeah.
just kind of snuck it in there. They kept it low just to set a bar and they went, oh, well, you know, let's get ourselves some good credit by just pumping.
In this case, it's actually the gross pack size is going from 77 to 84. The net size is going from, I think, 74 to 80.
anyway, you get more and it's the same and it's better. I'm not gonna upgrade because I don't buy cars every 2 years like a crazy person, but if you want to, go for it. It still looks cool. And also you'll notice the bottom of the bumpers. I noticed this. The bottom of the bumpers look a little different, but whatever, who cares? EV owners, GM EV owners can now plug and charge at Flow. So like you do with the Tesla where you just plug it in and walk away and it does all the magic. Flow now does that with GM. So you can just plug it in GM and you don't have to deal with the app or anything, it just does it. So that's cool. That's been turned on. So if you own a Bolt or, well, I don't know if the Bolt does it, but if you own a other GM car, give it a shot. A Hummer. Fisker is temporarily halting production and might be in the process of going bankrupt. So that's a little concerning for those who own Fiskers. They've stopped production for the next 6 weeks. Apparently today, the deal to be bought by another car company has fallen through. So that's not looking good. And they have opted to not pay the interest on the loan. So they have like 6 weeks to pay that interest or they default and then who knows what happens there. So they have some issues. There are a lot of Oceans on the lot available if you want to go buy one and help them with their cash flow issue. But good luck with that if you're, an early adopter risk taker. Have fun. Now we're into the Tesla corner. So they've added some new supercharger locations. A lot of them are in BC. So Vancouver, Richmond, Langley, Abbotsford. They're all getting new locations. What's that?
In Ontario, Quebec, one.
Yeah, so Whistler's getting one, Manning Park is getting one, Alberta is getting one in Kananaskis, Saskatchewan, the anti-EV province in Canada, is getting one in Swift Current, which plugs a hole in the current network. Ontario and Quebec get one each in Bowmanville and Saint-Germain de Grantham, wherever that is.
And what timeline you talk about?
This year. This year.
Because there's others that have been.
There's others now. These are the ones that,
Are added to the coming soon, but,
yeah,
Brockville, they're actually in place.
yeah, I saw that today on Facebook, yeah.
Yeah,
Atlantic Canada's getting one in Moncton and one in Truro, so now there will be two in Nova Scotia. So you don't-
Mike, that's a tough remark, and there's what you see in that coming soon is not 100% what's actually gonna happen. I think you made Rockville as a point, and you're gonna see other ones come up. Gatineau, for example, is going on.
No, this is just the new ones that they've added since the last time.
Those on the coming soon, Matt, my point is, there's usually more than what you see there.
And I'll add more when they come. When they get added. These are just the new ones this month. CCS retrofit for older 3s and Ys. So Matt, my brother, if you're paying attention, which you're not, but if you were watching this for some reason, your car is now eligible to get an upgrade to use the adapters. So cars built prior to 2020, specifically the 3s and the Ys, they didn't speak CCS, they speak the Tesla proprietary language. And so they need their ECU and some other parts to be upgraded before they can use CCS adapters. So the retrofit has been available for Model S and X for about a year now, but it hasn't been available for 3s and Ys. It'll cost $475 and it includes the adapter, which itself is worth $345. So getting the upgrade is actually a pretty good deal because you get a free adapter with it, basically. It can be scheduled via your Tesla app. And you'll know if you need it by just following the instructions on the slide there. But if you don't know, then you probably don't need it. Or I don't do Tesla. Canada to get full self-driving subscription. So Craig just talked about full self-driving. If you want to try it out, you can get it. There's a subscription service coming, so you don't have to pay the full $16,000 up front. It's coming in the coming weeks, apparently, according to Twitter. It'll allow you to test it out or have it, active for a road trip or something, and then you can cancel it. The pricing, assuming it's similar to the US, should cost about $270 Canadian per month, and you can add it through the car. And regulatory submissions for the Cybertruck are underway. So again, according to Mr. Patel there on Twitter from Tesla, they're currently working on the regulatory paperwork to sell the Cybertruck here. Customers can pre-order the truck for $150. The truck itself will cost $82,000 for the base model, which isn't coming out yet. So you're gonna have to fork out a lot more to get the current version, the Founder Edition, I think it's called. But there you go. If you want your Cybertruck to show off on your driveway, it's coming. And then this is the last one. So junk for the Cybertruck. I like that title. So the base camp tent was an accessory that people got really excited about because you take your Cybertruck camping, and the picture on the left is what they showed as the render. Like that's what it'll be, and it does admittedly look pretty cool. But the actual thing that they ship is the thing on the right, which costs $4,000. Has to be installed by the Tesla Service Center for some reason.
I'll just park at a flat level.
And you can't, the tent mode that is supposed to work to like level the truck and make it so it stays on and stuff isn't actually available yet. So yeah, I don't know if that's worth like buying a tent, like a normal tent is a few $100 at most. If you get fancy, you get a backpacking tent, you're looking at like $1,000. You want to get really bougie. So $4,000 for this atrocity. Yeah, I mean, whatever. You bought a Cybertruck, so whatever. Taste isn't necessarily the thing for you. But there you go. It's just like the picture looks so much better, right? Like the render. That is it. Raymond. Rushing me through the news.
Well,
It's only another meeting. We got lots of time.
yeah, so if anybody's not a member, I would encourage you to go and sign up. The price has gone up though. $30 now, right? Implemented?
I didn't do it.
I think it's done. I don't know if Ryan's on.
Do it.
But if it's not done, you could save a couple of bucks by doing it now. But anyways, we also introduced some different levels of membership. We'll talk about that at the next meeting, but we have a reminder that we have the YouTube channel, and we will soon have the February.
I was mentioning, okay.
And March,
Yes.
So there's recordings of all the meetings. I know there's also, some other stuff that we've done. So if you want an ED 101 presentation to show to someone or myth busting stuff, there's presentations there you could use for that, okay? So, and that is it. So, do you want to do your thing for the end of the recording?
Yeah. Okay, so if you're watching us live, we're gonna stop sharing and show the room and you guys can join in on the round table. If you're watching us on YouTube, this is where your video ends. We'll see you next month. Thanks for watching and talk to you later.